But it's happened again. Another criminal indictment against former President Donald Trump because of his alleged efforts to illegally change the outcome of the 2020 election. This latest indictment coming in Georgia, where Mr. Trump has company with 18 others indicted along with him on a variety of charges. How is this case in Georgia different from the others? KPRC2 legal analyst Brian Weiss is here to answer that question. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Cam.
So when I put on my non-existent law degree to work, my instinct is that this case is a state case, and it seems like it's so much different in application than the previous indictments against him.
It is, Cam, on so many levels, and the numbers tell the story. 91 counts altogether that former President Trump faces in 4 different venues. 41 counts in this indictment. 161 overt acts in furtherance of the RICO allegations. RICO, of course, the Racketeer Influence Corrupt Organizations Act, which is usually designed to go after, I don't know, give me a second, the mafia, motorcycle gangs. But Fulton County DA Fonnie Willis, who has used RICO in the past in unique situations, has now targeted the former president. And this, to me, is interesting. With the exception of Philadelphia, Cam, the president has now been indicted in 4 of the 5 cities in the National League East in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I'm not trying to figure out the relevance of that, but I'm sure I'll figure it out after it's all over with. Hey, Jack Smith indictment that was about the January 6th it had only Trump and 6 unindicted co-conspirators. This one, she went after everybody. And I guess that kind of makes sense in that one guy wasn't responsible for all of it.
No, and this is what we call a speaking indictment, much like the Jack Smith indictments. A speaking indictment is exactly that. It tells a story with a beginning, middle, and an end, as opposed to an indictment in state court that says, Brian Weiss drove drunk on Friday night. In the 4 corners of this indictment, the story is one that encompasses characters as far-ranging as Rudy Giuliani, who ironically made his bones, as they say in the mob, using the RICO statute to prosecute mob members in the 1980s. 8 of the 19 are lawyers, and this is an indictment with a mandatory minimum of 5 years, cameras in the courtroom, which we don't see in federal court, and the fact, and this may be what matters most of all, Cam, is that because it's a state case, it's not going to be subject to the power that the president can use to either pardon himself or some other president could use to get Donald Trump and everybody else off the hook.
Good point. Makes it very, very different from the other indictments altogether. Okay, here locally, the big court story was about A.J. Armstrong. Of course, he was found guilty of murdering his parents 7 years ago, and this is after 2 mistrials. Your take on what made the difference this time?
Wow. Major props to prosecutors John Jordan and Ryan Trask from the Harris County DA's office. The 3rd time around, Cam, they thought outside the box. They do what most prosecutors don't do. They hired a jury consultant to help them pick the jury. I think our viewers are adept enough to know that trials are won or lost months before the first witness hits the stand. Why? Because jury selection is the critical ingredient in either a conviction or acquittal.
So the same evidence, you think, and the only thing different was the juries?
No, well, certainly the composition of the juries. It's like if you look at a criminal case as a 3-act play, one set of critics might like it, another set of critics might pan it. By using a consultant to help them hone the jury selection process and by streamlining their own case, I think that was ultimately the difference between a guilty verdict this go-around and the 2 hung juries, Cam.
This kind of case, a little vindication for Kim Ogg and the prosecutors, her office, or does it matter?
No, I mean, I think it is vindication of a sort. Why? Because the DA's office was under tremendous pressure not to bring a 3rd case. The people who roll up to me at the Avalon Diner are like, what about double jeopardy? What about triple jeopardy? No, this young man could have been tried as many times as the DA's office wanted. And the fact that they had the courage to go forward to ultimately vindicate the rights of those who can't speak for themselves, the victims, I think speaks volumes.
Brian Weiss, always educational. I'm still trying to figure out the National League East thing. I'll work on that for the week, and I'll get back to you on that.
Most people will understand sports metaphors more than dusty law books can. What have I tried to tell you?
I know, I'm learning. I'm a slow learner.
What have I tried to tell you?
Brian Weiss, KPRC2 legal analyst, thank you for your expertise.
Thanks, Cam.